This is the plaintiff, Mercedes Bankston. She says she applied for a job at the defendant's apartment building, was told she was hired, and then a few days later was told she wasn't going to be hired after all because they ran a background check on her and didn't like what they saw. The defendant violated the Investigative Consumer Reporting Agency Act by hiring her first and then firing her. And she's here suing for the state max of $10,000 because what he did to her just wasn't right. This is a defendant, Brian Gordon. He says he's had his property management business for 11 years, and he learned to do a thorough background check on all prospective employees before he lets them into his inner circle. He interviewed the plaintiff. She did well, and he offered her a position contingent on a complete background check. The plaintiff's background check had many red flags. He told her sorry, she wasn't getting the job, and she freaked out. Caused a huge scene, and now here they are. He's accused of making a false promise.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Okay, Mercedes Bankston?
Yes.
You are suing Lotus Property Services Incorporated, represented here by Brian Gordon. You're the owner?
Yes, I am.
For $10,000, $5,000 of it for violating California's Consumer Reports Law, and $5,000 as punitive damages and pain and suffering because the day before they were going to hire you, they decided not to hire you. Tell me what's going on.
Exactly. Right. So, Your Honor, I interviewed with the company twice in person, and
for what? What was
an on-site property management position.
Okay.
And so what that entails is that an on-site property manager has an apartment that's actually on site, on the premises. And so the position came with free rent at an apartment, which is what I was told on my second interview.
That it was absolutely free rent?
Yes, that's what Sandy, who interviewed me the second time, told me.
Okay.
That the way that they worked it out, and everyone always told me HR will break it down for you, when you do all your paperwork and everything, but that they would arrange the compensation so that it covers what the rent would be, so that there wouldn't be an out-of-pocket for me.
Okay, so basically you were going to work for your apartment.
Right.
And how much is the going value of an apartment in that building?
$1,250, Your Honor.
Okay, and according to you, you find out before that that's not accurate.
The same conversation that I had when Sally, who's the person who told me you're hired, she called me and asked me, was I still interested in the position? And I said yes before I knew about the cost difference. I said yes, and she said, okay, well, by the way, Sandy was wrong when she told you that the apartment was free, and we apologize for that.
Those are the words she used?
Yes.
The words you just said? Okay.
Yes. She said that Sandy made a mistake.
Sandy, who is telling you that Sandy was wrong?
This was Sally.
Sally.
Yes.
Okay.
Sally was the first interview.
I got it. So
Okay.
Sally is telling you Sandy was wrong when she told you that you have to pay $800 for the apartment. So you're going to work for $450 a month.
Right.
Okay.
And so because I was still interested in the position.
But it's not like a full-time job. It's just
right, exactly.
a chore you're going to do around there. Okay.
Exactly. And so I had an opportunity to still have another job or anything, get a roommate, things like this.
Yeah.
But I told her I was still interested. And so she said, okay, well, the only time I can show you your apartment would be today within an hour. But I do want to make sure that it's communicated that in my conversation with Sally, this was not like contingent on anything. In this conversation, she actually said the words to me, you're hired. And she took me to the apartment. I met her at the apartment. She took me through. Your Honor, I was even given an opportunity to select the color of my kitchen cabinets. None of this seemed contingent on anything.
What do you mean by select it didn't have a kitchen?
It had a kitchen, but what happened is it was a plain wood cabinets, and she said, do you want them to stay wooden or do you want them white? And I thought about it for a minute, and we talked about decor for a second, and I said, I think I'm going to go decor.
Decor.
She and I talked about my apartment, and I said, let's paint them white. At that moment, she got on the line with maintenance and told him to paint them white for me for November 1st. So nothing about our conversation at this point.
This was on what date, October 25th?
This was on October 25th, the same day that she made the offer.
Okay.
So this isn't seeming contingent to me on anything.
Okay.
If I'm making decisions about what color paint is happening in the apartment at this point.
Right.
And she's taking me through the building, showing me, and everything is your responsibility. Well, you would be doing that, as if I had already, this was a done deal.
Right.
Right. And when we left, she goes, so are you excited?
Right.
And I'm like, yes. So everything in our conversation seems to me like we're moving forward.
And then when did you realize that you weren't?
So I was supposed to start on
Because I know
November
something bad
1st.
happened because I'm here. Go ahead.
So November 1st, 9 a.m. is when she told me to come in and get my keys and do my paperwork. That was her language. Pick up your keys, complete your paperwork.
What's complete your paperwork mean?
Like just like finish signing all the leasing because I didn't meet
Finish?
her.
Or
or finish all the paperwork.
you didn't have a lease?
No, I didn't have.
You
the
had
lease
her
yet.
saying,
Right.
are you excited? You're hired.
Yeah, she said you're hired. Took me
All
and
right,
everything.
so you weren't
Right.
coming in to sign a lease until November 1st. Okay?
Right.
Did any money go from your hands to their hands?
No.
Okay, go on.
October 31st, the night before, I get a call from Grace, Sally, and Sandy on conference call. I have a record. The call came in at 5:21 p.m., Your Honor. 9 minutes before close of business, they call me to say, pretty much don't bother coming in tomorrow because you don't have a job. We got your background report today, she says. And I'm like, well, when I submitted secondary information to Sally on October 25th, she told me it would take 2 days to come back. But Your Honor.
Wait, what secondary information did you give to Sally on October 25th?
So
And what do you mean? What would take 2 days to come back?
The background report. So I'm calling
okay. So you knew then on October 25th that they were going to do a background check,
Right.
Because, well, you said earlier, I had the job on October 25th. There was nothing about a background check, and
No.
nothing was contingent on anything else. But you know there's a background check. So why
Yes.
would you not think that a background check might keep you from the job?
Because I didn't think that there would be anything that
What's
would.
the point of doing it unless they want to act on information that they receive on it?
Right, but Your Honor, let me
So
give
you
you
knew
a
they were doing a
timeline.
background check. You
Yes, I
gave the
did.
information on the 25th.
I
You
give you
guys
a
get the information back when?
The 31st, Your Honor.
And what was it that the background check said that was so compelling that caused people to decide that they don't want to do it? They don't want to hire her. I'd like you to tell me what was on the background check.
Exactly? Is it okay?
Yeah.
So for the rental verification process, she had 0 positive trade lines, and there were...
What's that mean?
No positive trade lines.
No credit.
No
credit
no
that she could
positive
show.
credit.
But that means no positive credit in the sense that no credit cards that she was up to date in paying, no evidence of a track history. What does that mean?
One more part. She does have 6 items that are in collection. There were no positive trade lines on that.
I don't know what positive trade line means.
You pay your credit card bill and you pay it every
what I
month,
said,
and
right.
it doesn't end up like 30 days.
So if anything, the only thing there was a history of was negative because there were
Correct.
6 cases in collection.
Correct.
Okay. So your feeling was that she would neither be qualified to handle your money, your rents that she's collecting, nor be qualified to pay the $800 a month. You didn't trust it.
She needs to set an example as an on-site manager, and I couldn't qualify her based on being a tenant for the property, more or less the on-site manager. Additionally,
And so why do you feel that there's, what did they do wrong?
Well, I feel
That they should pay you 10 grand?
Well, in the first place, these decisions should have been made prior to 15 hours before I think that I'm starting a new
Yeah, but
job.
you didn't even give them the information until
No,
5
Your
days,
Honor.
6 days before you were going to move in.
So in
That's
the
just how
beginning,
it all worked out.
No.
Everybody, but let's
I'm
assume you
sorry.
had given it to them 2 months before.
I
You
did.
Still
I gave
know
it to them initially.
I'm sorry?
Initially, for my initial interview.
What did you give them on the 25th?
So that was on the September 28th.
On October 25th, what did you give them?
I gave them the copy of my ID and in an email, which she asked me
That's
for.
pretty basic.
But
All
Your
right.
Honor, I had given that to them a month prior.
What did you give them on the 25th?
I gave them a copy of my IDs.
What
That's
else
it.
did you give them on the 25th?
Only the
You
ID.
said additional information
Okay,
in your testimony a minute ago.
Because I'm
but
trying
you're
to-
changing it now. You're
I'm
saying
not
all I did
changing.
was give him a copy of an ID I'd given them in September. That's not the same as I
No.
gave her the additional information.
This
That's
is
not
what
the
I'm
same.
explaining, Your Honor. So for my initial interview, which
Do you
was
have the report that you submitted for the? Let me
Yes, Your
see.
Honor.
Let me see the request. Does it include the request?
yeah, I have
Do you
those
know
also.
what information she gave on the 25th?
I have it.
Yes. So
what was it besides a copy of an ID?
She
that
initially
she'd given
filled
on
out the
September?
application and then the authorization to run her background search. So that's included on here.
Okay, so she authorized you to run it, and that
She
was
authorized
filled
us to
out
run
when?
it. This was the month prior, 9/25. In order to actually run the background check, that's when they requested the ID from her along with her social so they can do the background search.
Okay, so the background check didn't get conducted until she gave that, and that's the stuff, the social security number and the...
Yeah, that would then trigger the HR department to run her background search, which we outsourced this. I do realize that it took 6 days, that it was over a weekend.
Okay.
But that's a process that takes
time. So tell me again what they did wrong that would cause them to have to pay you 10 grand?
So, Your Honor, like...
I know it's rude to tell you on October 31st, 9 minutes before the close of business. It's super rude. It shouldn't have taken 6 days. Rude, rude, rude. But tell me how that translates to they owe you 10 grand.
Okay.
Because you are an at-will employee. You knew there was going to be a background check. And they told you before coming in, don't come in. We're not going to pay you. We're not going to hire you because you have no credit and you have bad credit. So what is it that would make it? One of the things you say is that they violated California's consumer reports law. Tell me how they violated it, because it's a pretty big law. I tried to familiarize myself with it before I came in here, because we apply the law from the state that you're at, and I'm trying to figure out how you think they violated it.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Does it make any sense that she would get hired before the background check comes in?
No. What's the purpose of doing that?
That's what I think. What do you say?
Yeah, what's the purpose of a background check? Just get hired.
Does it make any sense that she would get hired subject to the background check showing what's up?
No, it doesn't. The background check is done usually for hiring if she's already hired.
One would think, going inside the courtroom.
Okay, so under the FCRA, the language, and I'm reading this from the Federal Trade Commission's information, the language is before you take adverse action, before you reject a job application, reassign, or terminate an employee, you must give the applicant notice, and you must give them the summary of the rights. But then also the language here says giving the person the notice in advance gives the person an opportunity to review the report and tell it if it's correct or not. You're supposed to be given an opportunity to disagree with the report.
I presume that your position on that is she wasn't hired yet.
Yes, and Your Honor, I do have the application that she filled out along with that disclosure, and there is a box there that says, would you like a copy of this report? I'd like to submit this as
What
evidence.
did she say?
And she did not click the box, so the disclosure was not made. But there is a disclosure here that she knew that they were running the credit for her.
I did, Your Honor, but the thing is that...
Anything else that you feel that they violated?
I do.
So because you can't say they violated it because they didn't give me a report when you had a question and you didn't mark, I want the report, but go ahead.
I'm saying that they violated...
And plus, do you have, you have the report now, don't you? In fact, you kind of know the report.
I have it, but also the thing, Your Honor, is
what is it you want to dispute on it?
What they were discussing in the report.
All of it's wrong?
No, but there's the things that are in the report, there are some things that I would have discussed.
Did you have a job when you applied for this one?
No, I was doing like freelance things.
Okay, what happened to you is they decided that you didn't qualify as a rentor and that with 6 negative things on your end, no positive credit, that you didn't qualify to be handling their money either. What's so evil about that decision that you should get 10 grand?
The thing is that they should have made that determination prior to extending an offer to me. That's the purpose of this law.
Okay, but see, no one extended you an offer.
Sally Gutierrez did.
Well, let me rephrase.
She did.
They loved you. You're yummy. You're going to get along super well with the tenants. You're engaging. They loved you and they wanted to give you the job. But there's a background check that was being conducted, and that thing took 6 days. You couldn't possibly think that the background check was, because the only person in that group that knows what the background is you. So,
and I didn't think that there was anything that would be an issue.
So you know that whatever excitement they have, no offer is in writing yet to you, and no one let you move in or anything else because the background check wasn't in yet. Okay. Then the background check comes in. And before you lift box 1, they tell you, sorry, honey, but you don't qualify.
But, Your Honor, so in response to that, my conversation with Sally is that she told me it would come back in 2 days. Okay. Like he told you, it was submitted.
What legal obligation did they violate?
And that you are supposed to be given an opportunity to be able to.
Well, there's your opportunity.
So they gave it to me
First of all, you're not their employee, okay? And they didn't terminate you. And it's very simple. You have a background check, and they decided not to go through with offering you the position that they really wanted to offer you. Take your lumps. How is this a money-making opportunity of 10 grand?
It
That's
isn't
ridiculous.
a money-making opportunity.
For this person to be told, pay this lady $10,000, they have to have violated an obligation they have to you. There's not a thing you are saying to me that makes anyone within the sound of my voice think that they violated an obligation to you. Verdict for the defendant.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wow.
Well, the plaintiff fails to prove her case. She does not get the $10,000 you were seeking. You're a little upset.
Yeah, very much upset. I mean, their unprofessionalism actually caused me to lose the home that I was living in because I agreed to move into their place. And I feel that, the evidence...
Were you evicted? Did you have to leave the...
I agreed to leave on that date, and everything happened on the same date. And so they rented my space to another person because I was moving, so...
Well, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Unfortunately, okay, you must sign some documents on your way out of the courtroom, Mr. Gordon. She kind of feels like she had a job there, Seemed like it a little bit. Would you
We would
agree?
have liked to have hired her
Yeah.
if the background had come back positive. So I feel today that, the judge made a determination that, she was fabricating a lawsuit and trying to extort money out of our
Do you
company.
think your staff was a little too enthusiastic to her, about the job? Made it sound promising for her?
She painted a different picture in court today, but
Really?
it was a contingent offer with the background and signing the
And
paperwork.
she was clearly aware of that.
She was clearly aware of that.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Harvey, background checks, interesting.
Doug, look, the job was contingent on the background check, period.